Today I'm giving you 5 tips for MPC 3.0.
Freebie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat. Today's patron shoutout goes to Noise Theorem. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. All right, so the MPC 3.0 public beta has arrived, and if I had to sum it up in just one word, that word would simply be exquisite. It's everything that I wanted and then more. I just absolutely love it. But rather than just boringly read off a script of, some talking points, I figured I'd actually give you all some practical tips that also tie in with why I like this update so much. So hopefully you can find these tips useful. Let's dive in. Tip number 1 is simply to memorize what the new double tap and long press actions do. So we have some new actions now in MPC, double press and long press. They're just basically like smartphone gestures, and they do different things depending on where you are. So here we're on the main screen. We can see the name of my sequence. If I long press on it, I can name that sequence. If I double press or double tap, then I get to my sequence list where I can switch between the sequences. Same thing with the track. Same thing with the track name. So if I long press on it, I get to my track settings. I can name my track from here. I can adjust the MIDI routing and the color. So that's where that is. But if I double tap on it, then I get to my track list and I can move around that just like that. Since this is a drum kit track, I can double tap on the waveform and actually get right into the sample editor, which is really nice. Let's change to a plugin track. Here we go. On a plugin track, I can double tap or long press on the name of the plugin, and I can actually get to the plugin select. I can also do that with the presets, which is quite handy, actually. If we go into the arranger view, we can see our track names are here on the left. If I double tap on one of those, that's how I get to the track settings from this screen. But if I long press on it, that brings up this menu here, which is essentially just the pencil icon menu from the main screen, but viewable in the arranger view. So we have clear, delete track, copy events, double speed, half speed, pitch quantize, bounce to sample, and bounce to audio track. Very handy to have. By the way, if you do want to access the pencil menu for the sequence, without going back out to the main screen, you can simply just hit edit right there, and then you'll get the sequence edit screen, just like that. The new gestures aren't really anything game-changing, but along with some other small quality of life features, they all just add to a faster and more improved workflow that you might not even notice directly, but when you stop and take a step back, you'll realize that once you start using these new quality of life upgrades, it does get a lot better. All right, I'm going to switch to a sequence that I already have set up here. This is like a full song, basically. We're going to go into the arranger, and we are going to talk about loop points. Loop points are one of the features that make the arranger very, very usable. So yes, we have our linear arranger here, right? Look at this long piece of music. Yeah, it's all there. Loop points allow us to, do what they say. They allow us to set an in point and an out point and then work within those points. The points are indicated by this white bar up top of the screen here. Just with the touchscreen, I can adjust where the loop starts and where it ends, and I can also drag the whole thing around. Or I can use cue links to adjust the start point and the end point. This is really nice for working on a specific section of a song. You may have noticed that I enabled the loop simply by clicking the loop button here. When it's off, you can still see the loop point very faintly, but when it's on, it's very clearly in white there. When the loop point is on, the play start button will always start you at the start of your loop. The play button still works like normal, starting you wherever the playhead is, but no matter where you are, even if you're outside the loop, play start button will take you back to the loop start. And when we reach the end, it'll loop back around. Pretty cool. Loop points definitely contribute to the arranger being quite fast once you wrap your head around it. However, loop points also make erasing parts of your song incredibly simple. I'm going to slide our loop point all the way to the beginning of our song here. I know a lot of people are upset at the loss of track mutes working per sequence, and they don't want to have to manually delete stuff in the arranger, every time they open a new sequence, or that they double their sequence length to create variation. However, the loop points make it so easy. Check this out. So we've got our loop point set. Let's say I want to delete the bass here for the duration of our loop point, right? So I click the bass to select it. Now I physically press the erase button on the MPC, which all modern MPCs have this erase button. Check this out. It automatically knows that I want to delete the bass track from the first bar to the fifth bar. I hit do it, and just like that, the data for our track is deleted for the duration of the loop. I'll undo that. Let's say I only wanted to delete it for the first two measures. Well, we'll just do that. Push erase, do it, done. Turn off loop. Now we're going to keep going. It really is that easy. And I mean, if we wanted to delete it for multiple tracks here, let's say we want to delete the pad, we just do that. And then the ARP, just like that. Now we just have the bass there. Kind of boring, but that's how it's done. It's really easy. I promise it's nowhere near as scary or as difficult or as much of a pain in the ass as everyone's making it out to be. Use the loop points. I promise they will make your life easier. Speaking of making things easier, my next tip is about locators. Locators are basically markers that you can drop in your song to help you keep track of where you are. You'll notice one right here. It says verse 1. Hopefully you can read that. Yeah, it says verse 1. If we continue on here. Chorus 1. Verse 2. Chorus 2. Solo. You get the idea. However, they are for more than just keeping track of where you are. They're also the key part of this arranger in terms of navigating a full linear timeline. When you hold down the Shift button, you will see your locators right down here at the bottom of the screen. You get 6 per sequence. When you click on one of these, it will instantly take you to that part in the song. So we're way towards the back here by the solo. If I hit chorus 1, just like that, it immediately jumps us to chorus 1. Say we want to go to the outro. Jumps around instantly. This is the key feature for the arranger, in my opinion. Let's pull up an empty sequence, and I'll show you how to set them now. So we're going to go into our arranger here. Let's just set this to like 23 bars. Sure. I don't have any locators set right now, so when I hold Shift, we're going to see 6 different set labels down here. So now I just move the playhead to where I want it to be. Let's say right here at the start of beat 5. I'm going to hold Shift and hit Set. Now we have a locator right there at the start of beat 5. I'll just put another one right here. Like I said, you get up to 6 per sequence. Seems like it quantizes them to the nearest measure, by the way. Now, how do you name them? Well, just come up to the top here where it says bar, beat, and tick, and double press. Now you'll get the locate menu. If you click locators, there we can see them. Here we can adjust the timing of them as well as access the keyboard. Intro. Verse, drop. There we go. Now when I hold Shift, we'll see intro, verse, drop, as well as 3 more blank ones that we can set wherever. And it'll simply move us around. I'm going to go back to the full song sequence, though, and show you one more cool thing about locators. Whenever you select a locator, it'll actually move your loop start to that locator, and it'll set the endpoint to the next locator. So if I turn on loop, we can see, yeah, right there, verse 2. Solo. There we go. Chorus 1. See? So you can really easily navigate the timeline with incredible speed and ease using these locators. It is so great to work in. It also works really well for things like pickups. If you don't know what pickups are, those are notes that come before the start of a measure. So there's a super cheesy sax solo at the end of this song that I need to replace with a real saxophone. but there's pickups into it. So I went to the sax solo section. Now I'm going to move back just a little bit and then hit play. So there you go. That's how easy it is. And of course, record and overdub still function the same. So if I wanted to record that, I would just hit record and then hit play. Remember, play start is going to start us right on the downbeat of our locator. Yeah, locators get 2 big thumbs up from me. My only complaint is that I wish we had more than 6 per sequence. But let's talk about a little way around that, at least in terms of working out the framework of your song. Because the next tip is simply that song mode still exists and works the same exact way it did in the firmware 2. Whatever releases. So if we go to menu, song mode is still right here. I don't know why people were saying it's gone, because it's not. It's here and it works very clearly the same exact way. Before I put that song together, I had all these different sequences with like an intro and a chorus. There's a verse. You know, like normal MPC workflow. I put everything into my song mode, and then I converted it into one big sequence, and that sequence was sequence 10 here, where we've been working, where I have my whole song. Now, what's cool about locators is they actually work in any sequence. So if we come into the intro here, which is only 4 bars long, when I was first working on this, I actually had a locator set right here on bar 5, that was just called Bells, I think. This was a couple days ago. I can't remember. And I put it there because that's when these bells come in. Just like that. That data right there. So you can have these locators per sequence and help you figure out, exactly what you want in what place for your sequence. Then you go into song mode, turn all of those sequences into one big sequence. Then you go into your big sequence and set new locators based on, broader sections like I did for just the verse, the chorus, solo, outro, and so forth. So yeah, song mode is still here and it functions just like it did. In fact, I think it's even better now, especially when you convert stuff to a big linear timeline. And, then everything that I went over in this video still applies, like the loop points and using erase to drop stuff out that you don't want, and the locators. It's all one very nice, cohesive experience. All right, for my last tip, we are going to switch gears and talk about something outside of the arranger. We're going to talk about slice motion. Specifically, how you can use slice motion to get randomly generated patterns. So to show this off, I've got a kit track loaded up here, which means I can just put whatever samples on here that I want. Okay, we're just going to use this baseline sample that I have on here, and that just sounds like this. Okay, really simple sample. So let's go to sample edit now, and what we want to do is actually chop this up. Now the way I want to chop this is by using threshold, I think. Yeah, perfect. Now we're going to go to the track edit page, which is different than the sample edit. So rather than editing the sample itself, we're now going to be editing the track. We're going to come down here to the samples tab. Now on the samples tab, we can actually tell this pad which slice we'd like to play. There's slice 1, 2, 3, 4, you get it. However, right next to where it says slice, we've got this little icon right here. If we press this, we will access slice motion. What this does is allow us different ways to play through our different slices. Right now it's set to off, but I can set it to increment, and now see how that works? Every time we push it, it goes through to the next slice, as you can see on there. And you can actually tell it which slice to start on and how many slices you want to cycle through. So with just 3, you just get 3. I'm going to set this back to all, and then we're going to come back up here, and instead of increment, we're going to set this to random. Now, watch this. we're now just basically generating a random baseline based on the slices of this sample. You can even combine this with note repeat. To once again, give yourself random baselines. Let's record something. Let's go ahead and set this to 2 bars long and then give this a shot. There we go. You can hear there's a little bit of clicking in there. Basically, that just means we need to go back into sample edit and fine-tune the slice points for each of those. In fact, number 10 I can already see is way off. But yeah, there you go. Randomly generated baseline just off of slices. Now, obviously, this is super cool for applications like this, but I think where Slice Motion is really going to shine is in creating super articulated and playable multi-sampled instruments. I did a little bit of messing around with a snare drum, and the results I was able to get were just amazing because you can also have up to 8 layers per sample, but we're going to get into that next week. Next Friday, we'll talk about that experiment because it's been pretty fun. But yeah, as you can see, this works really, really well. And while we don't have full actual random generation yet on MPC, this is getting into that territory. Definitely super cool. Okay, one more tip here. Give yourself an empty slice at the end that's just blank. So that way when you randomize it, there's a chance that it'll just have a blank space in there too. That can give you some rhythmic variation. Pretty cool. So there you have it. 5 tips for the new public beta of the MPC 3.0 firmware update. Again, this is just a beta, so I don't know if we're going to get new stuff or if they're just going to work on cleaning this up. But either way, I am super happy with this. Give this a shot if you haven't yet. You can literally just go into the info section on the preferences page and click downgrade if you don't like it. But you've got nothing to fear. I've just been blown away with this, and I highly recommend giving it a shot. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. I haven't talked to Akai in years. So yeah, this is just all good stuff here. I am loving the update. Give it a shot. If you don't like it, you can roll it back. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on here, and I can't wait to continue using it because so far, I'm in love with it. It's amazing. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.